Good morning. I'm Colette Jackson, and I'm going to be your MC for this morning's plenary. Please join me in welcoming to the stage the Berklee Indian Ensemble under the direction of Annette Phillip, the artistic director of the Berklee Indian Exchange.
pa ma re ga sa ni pa da ma ni pa ni sa ni pa ma ga sa ga. Ta ding ga na to 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 ta ding ta ding ta ding ta ka de me ta ka jo no ta ka de me ta ka 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 ta ta ka da ta ka de na da dum 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 da de 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 dum da.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is such an honor for us to be here. This is the teeniest version of the Berklee Indian Ensemble that we've ever performed with. On stage, we have 10 musicians today from 8 countries. And our first offering was a song made famous by Shakti. Remember Shakti? Some of you know this band. It's a piece called Lukhi. And it's sort of a precursor to what you can expect from the Indian Ensemble this year. On November 22nd, the amazing Zakir Hussain will be performing with the ensemble. John McLaughlin will be in the hall. We may get him to play. Who knows? Maybe. We wanted to also share an original. This is something that the Indian Ensemble is really committed to. This one's called Pinha, and it's a dedication, an offering for the semester. Pinha means hidden within. What are the gifts that we have that can change the world, that can change our world?
Once again, I'm Colette Jackson, the Talent Management Advisor and Human Resources and a member of the Opening Day Planning Committee. Opening Day is the official kickoff to the academic year. This year's program encourages our community to connect with each other in new ways, to reflect on our shared mission, to serve our students and create a more inclusive culture, and to get inspired about what we have accomplished and the great work ahead of us in the new academic year. This marks the 14th anniversary of Opening Day. We have an exciting morning ahead of us, including an address from Larry Simpson, an In Memoriam Presentation, an address from Cathy, community reflections by Rosemary, Dowling, and a performance by our student musical theater, closing remarks, and, a presentation from Roger H. Brown, our president. After this plenary, we have 9 breakout sessions for you to choose from. The session descriptions and room locations are found in your program. The Opening Day Planning Committee has worked diligently all summer to craft a program that we hope is meaningful for our community. The sessions will offer an opportunity for us to share what we know and ask questions about what we don't know. We hope that leave you inspired and energized for the new academic year. And please note that some of these sessions are capped, so please be sure to arrive on time and have a backup plan. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our Provost and Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs, Larry Simpson.
Thank you, Colette. Good morning, everyone. I'm always excited about the beginning of a new school year, a brand new school year. And, earlier this morning was the first time we were at the Harvard Club. And I'm so happy to see that there's so many people in our community who eat healthy. I have been accused most recently, as late as yesterday, for committing microaggressions against vegans. It's not true. I used to be one for many years. I must tell you that I have been energized by this year's incoming class. The 87 BSI, that is Berklee Summer Institute students, and it was a program designed primarily for incoming African American students, were highly motivated and engaged. I also met with the 14 students who are participating in our dual degree program with Harvard. They were delightful, focused, and very talented. We also met with the Conservatory and college master's students earlier this week, and they too were inspiring. And then there are the 1,000 other students who have been filling our streets and buildings with anticipation, some nervousness, and bubbling joy. Wait, no, those were their parents. Many of whom I also met while I was out and about on campus. And classes have yet to begin, and so I'm so eager for Monday and the start of school. Earlier this summer, on the evening of July 19, I was in Perugia, Italy, in Arena Santa Giuliana. Near the arena is the ancient Santa Giuliana Monastery. The arena itself is a wonderful sports facility that seats about 7,000 people, and it is the main stage for the Umbria Jazz Festival. Roger was in attendance along with a few members of the board. Dean Matthew Nickel was there leading the Berklee 2-week summer clinic along with an outstanding group of faculty. Berklee has been doing these clinics at the festival for 34 consecutive years. The opening act on the evening of the 19th was Snarky Puppy, and they put on a wonderful show. I was sitting with two friends of mine, and they loved Snarky Puppy. During the set changeover for the next group, the people were doing what many people do nowadays. They were checking their cell phones. As the next group was taking the stage, my friends took notice and settled back into their seats. The performer was tenor saxophonist Kamasi Washington. From the beginning of the set to the end, my friends were on the edge of their seats, transfixed by the power and rootedness of the performance. Now, earlier this summer, I was also on the edge of my seat when I saw a presentation by new Ensemble department faculty member Val Genti, as she did a presentation where she linked the drum to technology in a way I had never expected or experienced. So why do I mention these people today and these events today? If our students are to thrive, if we're able to have our students matriculate with less debt and graduate at higher rates, if our students are to have a stellar academic and social experience, and if our students are able to leave us and have viable and sustainable careers, then, dear colleagues, we've got to bring it like Kamasi did in the green heart of Italy and Val Genti did in a nearby classroom, so that our students should find themselves on the edge of their seats in your classrooms and in your offices because of your commitment, craft, skill, love, empathy, and joy that we must bring to work every day. And that is why I'm so excited about this academic year. I now want to thank you. I now want to introduce to you a few new deans and chairs that have recently joined us. If we could have the house lights come up a bit, because I really want you all to see these folks. And when I call your name, please stand. We have Scott Edmonston, the Dean of Theater at the Conservatory. Scott, here's Scott. Down front here we have Tanya Darby, Chair of the Brass Department. Walter Smith III, Chair of the Woodwind Department. Cheryl Bailey, Assistant Chair, Guitar. Danielle Queen D. Scott, Assistant Chair, Ensemble Department. Jonathan Perkins, Assistant Chair, Songwriting. Phil Lima, Assistant Chair, Voice. And Sean McMahon, Chair, Film Scoring. In addition, we have hired about 35 new faculty members at both the college and the conservatory for this year. Of the 35, if you're in the house, please stand up and be recognized. And welcome to the Berklee and Conservatory family. Thank you. Earlier this spring, the faculty had its election, and Harmony Department faculty member Will Silvio was elected president. Will, I congratulate you on your election, and I look forward to working with you and the new executive committee in the coming year. I also want to say thanks to Jackson Schultz, the outgoing union president. The times we have had over the past several years. We now come to a somber moment in today's program, the in memoriam portion, where we pay tribute to those in our community who have passed away. Performing will be guitar department faculty members John Baboyan and Kurt Shoemate. Please welcome them to the stage. And thank you all very much, and let's have a fantastic year.
It is now my pleasure to introduce our Senior Vice President and Executive Director for the Boston Conservatory at Berklee, Cathy Young.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to be here with all of you today as we come together at the opening of our academic year. So I'm just starting year 3 as Executive Director of Boston Conservatory at Berklee. And so for me, this is only the 3rd year in the past 35 when I've not been preparing to teach classes at the start of the fall semester. And maybe some of the faculty in the room can relate to this. Every year that I was teaching for 35 years, I had basically the same dream the night before classes started. And the dream was always some version of me being unprepared and failing my students. So my students were in the dance studio waiting for me, but I was stuck in the elevator. Or I made it to class, but I forgot my teaching music or my dance shoes. Or I overslept and missed the class altogether. And then this one, which was my favorite, I'm standing in front of a room full of students and I have no idea what to say to them. You get the gist, and maybe some of you have a similar dream. It doesn't take an analyst to understand that the dream was about my desire to do my best for my students and to live up to the trust they placed in me as their teacher. I actually grew to appreciate that dream because it reminded me every year to take nothing for granted and to give my best. So now that I no longer teach, I don't have that dream, but I've replaced it with move-in day. And let me explain. Move-in day, when all of our new students move into their dorms, was last Saturday. And it's a great day. I love standing outside of the dorms, meeting new students and their families as they pull up in cars, jammed full of belongings, ready to start this next chapter in their lives. I love seeing our incoming students jump out of the cars, so thrilled to be here. Most of our students have been dreaming of and working towards this day, this moment of arrival, for years. They've sacrificed a lot to get here. They've had the courage to pursue something that may have felt out of reach, and they've been thrilled when they were accepted. For many, it's the accomplishment of a lifetime. They arrive here with so much energy, optimism, and joy because they believe they've arrived in a place that will prepare them to pursue their dreams and to create the lives they imagine. So I know what you're thinking. How is move-in day comparable to your stress dream? Because for me, seeing the faces of our new students and talking with them on that first day is a visceral reminder of the trust they're placing in us and of the promise that we're making to them. That promise, which is implicit in every interaction we have with our students, from the moment we start recruiting them to the moment they graduate and beyond, is that this place is extraordinary. That promise is that this education is transformative. That promise is that we will nurture the talent and potential of each student. We will teach the skills that create a gateway to the lives and careers they imagine and aspire to. And that promise is our unwavering focus and most important goal, their success. I'm so proud to be part of a school that takes that promise so seriously that we've named it and placed it at the center of our work. That promise is called Thrive. And the great news is, I know without a doubt that we are already delivering on our promise in so many ways. We have a world-class faculty who care deeply about our students and a curriculum that I believe is unequaled anywhere in the world. So thank you, faculty. Our staff daily go above and beyond in their support of our students and the institution overall. Thank you, staff. I know this place unleashes potential and develops empowered entrepreneurial artists who create successful careers because I hear it every day from our alums. In so many ways, our students are thriving. But I think if many of you on the front lines with students were asked, What is one of the biggest concerns that students share with you? What is one of their biggest challenges? You would all have the same answer. It's finances. The struggle for many of our students to finance the cost of their education and the debt they incur to do so. It's not by accident that there's a recent trend in higher education of referring to students as customers. I understand where that language comes from, even though I don't like it, because it seems to me to make a profound lifelong relationship between our students and our school into a purely financial one. It implies that this contract we enter into with our students, this promise we make to them, is primarily economic, and it disregards the ongoing investment into our students and their potential that every single person in this room makes every day that you come to work. However, we have to acknowledge that for many of our students, this education will be by far the most expensive purchase they make in their lifetimes, their biggest financial investment, surpassed only maybe by the purchase of a home for those who are eventually able to do so. Many of our students will take on significant, sometimes life-altering debt in pursuit of this education. So I feel obligated as a leader, and I think it is our obligation as a community to acknowledge the human cost of the financial cost of this education, and more importantly, to do something about it. And this is why I am so excited about Thrive, because by prioritizing student success above all else, we're keeping our promise to our students, not just to deliver an unmatched education and artistic training, to prepare them for careers and their lives, but to align our resources to support our goal of making this education financially feasible for all of our students. Many of you have talked with students who are struggling to stay in school because of finances. You've seen talented students leave because they can't afford to stay, and it is heartbreaking. Imagine the impact of being able to provide additional financial aid for a student who otherwise would have to drop out, or being able to reduce loan debt for a student staggering under the burden of debt that will take half of their adult life to repay. How would that change the path of their careers and their lives? Imagine being able to remove that financial pressure from a student so that instead of working 2 or 3 jobs while trying to attend school, they could just work 1 and even have time to study and practice and maybe sleep. Imagine the impact not just on retention and graduation rates, on career trajectory post-graduation, but on wellness and mental health, on academic and artistic achievement. I truly cannot imagine a more powerful goal for us as a higher education institution. I can't imagine anything which would have greater impact on the well-being and success of our students than aligning our institutional priorities and resources to focus on student financial aid and support. By placing student success at the center of every decision we make, we will create the best possible place for all of our students to learn and grow, and to launch their careers when they leave us, and to thrive, not just here, but for the rest of their lives. This is our goal. Thrive is how we get there. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to a great year.
Thank you, Cathy. Incorporating the faculty and staff voice has always been an important part of opening day. This morning, I would like to welcome Rosemary Dowling, Director of Campus Life, to give our community reflection. Please welcome Rosemary Dowling.
Hello. Ooh, these lights are set up just so I can only see that the audience is empty. Is that intentional? Great. So I was thrilled when they asked me to do this community reflection. It gives me an opportunity to talk about my favorite thing about this community, which is myself. came to Berklee 8 years ago, so it's been a little while for me. For some of you, that's not very long. For others, that's longer than most of your relationships. We'll see. And I probably came here a little bit differently than a lot of you. I actually ended up here accidentally. My undergrad degree is in elementary phys ed, which is not as useful as I thought it would be. And I finished my master's degree in nonprofit management, and I thought to myself, I just want to move to Boston. I'm going to see what's out there. And I found Berklee, and I thought this will be a great one-year transition. I don't know much about the school. I'm not a musician, I'm not an artist, but certainly I'll come, make it great, and then leave. Right. Still working on that part, but the leaving, it's been great for a while. So as I got to Berklee, I started to think about myself. What does the arts mean to me? How am I connected to this community? What can I, relate to this student experience? And it brought me back to this memory of when I was little, probably about 8, and I'm not really sure how, but I became obsessed with musical theater. And my parents could not have been more angry about it. They had never seen a show, they had no interest in seeing a show. I was psyched to be singing as much as I could in my terrible little 8-year-old voice. But to my parents' credit, they scrapped together the money they could. They found a show that they thought I would want to go and see. And it ended up being a dinner show of a chorus line. So you can imagine that anger growing when they realized the plot, and now that their 8-year-old was singing those songs in public for the next few years. Great. But seriously, I reflected on the fact that art has such an impact on all of us, whether we create it or listen to it or avid consumers of, whatever it may be. And for me, it was always an escape. I look back at my life, and whenever I was struggling, whether it was coming out or dealing with living in a house with a large family and just needing some space, art was always that thing that I turned to. I probably burned out my Newsies VHS watching it every day, rewinding it in our super fast 80s, 90s rewind machine. That was exciting. And starting it right over. And so when I come to Berklee, I thought to myself, this is it. This is my life. I'm going to live in a musical now. And believe it or not, this is a true story. My first week here in the cafeteria, there was a flash mob. And I was convinced this was it. This was the college musical I had been waiting for. That was the first and only time that happened. And so in 8 years, I've seen a lot of change here at the institution. Obviously, in the past few years, as many of you know, there's been probably the biggest change in the history of the institution. Our mascot, Mingus, had a facelift. It's like a whole new cat. You would barely recognize Mingus these days. Oh, obviously, there was also that merger. But it's even little things. I mean, thinking about, the building, the space. My area of campus life didn't exist before April, so it's exciting to be here in this part of our history as we're really, moving into that next generation of what will Berklee be. And for me, obviously, the merger was fantastic because now we have that musical theater program, which is top notch. But it's little things too. I sat at Convocation this week as we went through orientation, and I listened to Roger mention non-binary students directly. And that's a huge change for me that was really special. So it's little things that make a difference. And so then I started thinking about arts in the world. So not just Berklee, but how is the world and arts related? And you think about, the world that we're in today, there's a lot going on, and protests are happening constantly. And we think about the impact that art has on protest. And we think about the impact that art has on disaster relief. And anytime something happens, it doesn't matter what it is, it feels like art is always the answer. and finding art in a way to bring us together and build that community. I think about the fire last year that we had near campus, and I think about the response that our community came together to, build. Not just our students, but our faculty, our staff, our families reaching out within hours to offer their homes and just really make an impact for our students that were struggling. This world right now it's a little bit of a mess. No matter which side of the fence you're sitting on, it doesn't look good on the other side, right? And our students aren't immune to that, so they're coming to us already struggling. We know that our students are coming with higher levels of mental health concerns. They're coming with extreme levels of anxiety, and they're feeling less connected and more alone than ever. I talked to a family this weekend at move-in and family orientation, and they told me this has been their students' dream since they were 12, and they had no backup plan. So it was Berklee or nothing, I guess. There was no backup plan. It wasn't even like working at a fast food restaurant. There was nothing, just a void. I can't imagine that. Some of you think, probably more mature and planners than I am, so at 12, maybe you were also having dreams. I was worried about how big my Jinko jeans were and who I was gonna sit with at lunch, so also important decisions, but. So what happens when our students get here and they struggle? We know that they get here, we know that they're top-notch musicians or dancers or artists and theater majors, but what happens when that doesn't go according to plan? I think it's funny for me in my role, I get to see students sometimes in their lower points. So they may be performing at the Grammys and having a great day, and they come home and they forgot they had to put water in the mac and cheese before they microwave it. It's an interesting thing to see these students who are so talented and then see them when they're struggling. And a lot of times they haven't had to deal with those struggles, and so when they get here, it's the first time they're going through a lot of that. And so we've been talking a lot about Thrive, and for me, this is why I'm still at Berklee. The Thrive initiative is exactly the kind of work that I want to get behind. It's what we do every day. And I'm fortunate enough that that's pretty much my job, so I get to do it as my job anyway. But for all of you, there is opportunity and room for you to be involved as well. And so I think about our students and what they're doing outside of the classroom, the kind of clubs they're starting. This is a side tangent that's not relevant, but I do like to tell this story. Our very talented Associate Director of Student Involvement, Megan Hart-Malloy, has created a fake club as like a demonstration, and it's called the Cats and Cupcakes Club. She's now taken it down off the website, but I still know it exists, and I want it to be a thing, so if you would like to advise this club, you let me know. But seriously, so in campus life, one of the things we get to do is we get to provide just some activities and fun for our students. We just recently we're opening the Center for Campus Life, which I encourage you to come over and see if you haven't. It's in the A level of 150 Mass Ave. And it's not anything huge. It wasn't a lot of money to really turn that space into something different, but it's a huge impact on our students. I can tell you because my office door gets hit with ping pong balls every day on repeat all day long. Which is wonderful because it means that our students are engaged and they're talking and they're building community. But there's lots of opportunities for us to think about that. So to kind of wrap up this reflection of me, I just encourage us all to think about our students as individuals. We know that they're talented musicians, and we oftentimes, I think, can forget to look past that. And think about what else they are. What else is there? Are they a sibling? Are they a family member? Are they a spouse? Are they a veteran? Are they, an international student? Are they coming from a family that's dealing with substance abuse? What are those things that they're doing, and how can we see them as a whole individual person? And think about our students and the lives that they walk as we have interactions with them, and think about, how we can help them figure out the rest of this stuff. Because our faculty here is the best of the best. They're getting the world-class, education. But sometimes they need that reminder that you do have to put water in mac and cheese. And so I leave you with the idea of just please make sure that we're thinking of every student and what they're going through, and we're trying to be as kind and compassionate to them as possible as we're welcoming them back and having probably the best year ever. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rosemary, for your thoughtful remarks. It's my pleasure to introduce our next musical theater student performance. Please join me in welcoming Alyssa Payne, Pelly Woods, Christina Jones, accompanied by Asher Denberg.
Hot summer has got me down. You can fry an egg on the street. Heat waves are wiggling on the sidewalk. Cops are dropping like flies on the beat. I need a new lover to take me in, protect me from this humid air. Be him from Brooklyn, Staten Island, or Queens. I don't care. It don't matter kind of loving you're into or how big your apartment might be. All you need is an air conditioner, and you're the man for me. Of Perrier, you can fan my fever brow. You can rub me down with alcohol. They need enough know-how. You can lay me in a tub of ice. You can stand me in a cold shower too. But if you don't have an air conditioner, I will not go home with you. It don't matter kind of loving you're into or how big your ego might be. All you need is an air conditioner. You are the man, you are the man, you are the man, you are the man, you are the man for me. Come on, Berklee. Say you live in a penthouse. Say you live in a penthouse. You got a terrace with a view of the night. Well, that's well, but I really must tell you, an air conditioner's a much prettier sight. It don't matter kind of loving you're into or how big your apartment might be. All you need is an air conditioner, and you are the man, you are the man. I don't care what kind of loving you're into or how big your might be. All you need is an air conditioner, and you're the man, oh, you're the man, oh, you're the man for me. Sleeping giant, wanna buy someone you love before me. I see you're scared or convinced by what I've tried to say, that I am yours and that nothing will take me away. You already know, but I'll sing it again. I love you, baby, nothing will take me away. I know that you know, but I'll sing it again. I love you, baby, nothing will take me away. The way you always call me with some question, and every time try to pretend you didn't call me just cause I was on your mind. Too soon for you to say out loud, but I know you love me, and though we don't say it, already shows. You already know, but I'll sing it again. I love you, baby, nothing will take me away. I know that you know, but I'll sing it again. I love you, baby, nothing will take me away. You already know, but I'll sing it again. I love you, baby, nothing will take me away. I know that you know, but I'll sing it again. I love you, baby, nothing will take me away. I'll wait for you to open up, and it's not a bore. You're just what I've been looking for. Why do you keep your head in the sand? Whoever you loved before me, that friend's nothing like me. Nothing like me. Nothing like me. You already know, but I'll sing it again. I love you, baby, nothing will take me away. I know that you know, but I'll sing it again. I love you, baby, nothing will take me away. I know that you know, but I'll sing it again. I love you, baby, nothing will take me away. You already know, but I'll sing it again. me when you think I'm not looking. I look at you that way too, you just don't know that I do. I know that you know. You already know. I know you know, and I know it shows that I know you know. Now baby, 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 I can see you love me, I know. I already know, but sing it again. Sing it again. What is this feeling so sudden and new? I felt the moment I laid eyes on you. My pulse is rushing. My head is reeling. My face is flushing. What is this feeling? Fervent as a flame. Does it have a name? Yes. Loathing. Unadulterated loathing. For your face,
Your voice.
your clothing. Let's just say I loathe it all. Every little trait, however small, makes my very flesh begin to crawl. With simple, utter loathing, there's a strange exhilaration in such total detestation. It's so pure, so strong. Though I do admit it came on fast, still I do believe that it can last. And I will be loathing, loathing you my whole life. What is this feeling so sudden and unadulterated loathing? I felt the moment I laid eyes on you. Your voice, your clothing. My face is rushing. That's my head is reeling. I love it all. Oh, what is this feeling? However small, does it makes my very flesh begin to crawl. Yes, loathing. There's a strange exhilaration in such total detestation. It's so pure, so strong. Though I do admit it came on fast, still I do believe that it can last. And I will be loathing for forever, loathing, truly, deeply loathing you. My whole life long. Woo!
Thank you for that wonderful performance. We have amazing talent on this campus. At this time, it's my pleasure to welcome to the stage our president, Roger H. Brown.
Welcome, everybody. So good to be back together. First, Annette, Phillip, and Rohit, the Indian Ensemble. They're always amazing and beautiful music. And I feel connected to this last performance because one of our faculty, well, not for the reasons you may think, one of our faculty members, Laura Marie Duncan, in the musical theater department, said, we have this young woman from Georgia, Alyssa Payne, the first woman who sang, and she's not sure she wants to come all the way to Boston, and since you're from Georgia and you sound like you do, maybe you can talk to her and her parents. So it worked. I basically, she was thinking of going to Elon. I said, Elon? You don't want to go to Elon. You know, you're going to end up in New York, so why don't you come to Boston first and we'll warm you up and get you ready. So it's great to see her here doing her thing. You know, I'm so excited about the beginning of the year, as both Larry and Cathy mentioned. And what about Rosemary? What an amazing talk. Fantastic. So, you know, a lot of great things are happening. We're bucking a lot of the trends. The enrollment of this institution is strong in every category. On the college side, I'm delighted to report that this is the largest class of women in the history of the institution. 42.1%. And as Rosemary intimated, we do have non-binary students in this class as well. And frankly, if some of you are uncomfortable with that idea or don't know what that means, please do your homework because they're going to show up in our classrooms on Monday. And at the conservatory enrollment is well over 50% women. Here's a fun fact. For the first time since I've been here in 15 years, and I suspect the first time in the history of the institution, there are more pianists in this entering class than guitar players, just by a little bit. And voice is still the largest representation in the class, followed by piano, followed by guitar. And we actually have 10 students in this entering class who were admitted as performers of the electronic digital instrument. And they're going to be getting lessons. I'm also delighted to share that at the Conservatory, we hit a new world record of 22% international enrollment. One of our goals is to become more global and diverse in our attraction to conservatory students. So things are going great. Our summer programs were really well enrolled. So, you know, there's a lot of talk about colleges struggling to find students, but fortunately, we're doing really well in that category. We're also considering proposals from 3 groups of architects to build a new dormitory over at Ipswich Street near the Richard Ortner building. We have a piece of land over there we can build on. Our capital campaign, which we called Sound Breaking, was a resounding success. We had a goal of $100 million and we raised $161 million in a campaign we just closed. And since we closed, usually when you finish a campaign, it's like finishing a marathon or something. You collapse and you're done for a while. But since we've closed, which was this summer, we've raised $5.6 million for Terry Lynn's Institute of Jazz and Gender Justice. We've raised $1 million for diversity efforts at Boston Conservatory. $1 million for this Thrive program that you've been hearing so much about, and I'm going to tell you more about, and $225,000 for city music. So we have some momentum. And I know there's some cynicism in higher education about fundraising, and certainly there's some people you don't want to raise money from, and fortunately we haven't. But you know, this is the fuel that lets us do the things we want to do. It helps us make it affordable for students to be here. It allows us to create a new institute like Jazz and Gender Justice. So done right, fundraising is a key component of what we're trying to do as an institution. It would be inappropriate to not mention that the Indian Ensemble accounts for about half of our YouTube views, but the Berklee YouTube channel now is either at or close to 200 million views, making it the most viewed collegiate YouTube channel in the world. Last year we surpassed Stanford University. Our Berklee NYC and Power Station renovations are ongoing. I'm actually going to go down and have a hard hat tour with Stephen Weber, but that seems to be going really well, and that's going to be an amazing resource for all of us, dance, musical theater, music, etc. One of the things I'm really excited about is that I believe we have the strongest leadership team we've had since I've been at the institution. I particularly was delighted this summer. We had a retreat for all of our department chairs, and our deans participated. And I've said repeatedly that the job of being a department chair is the hardest at the institution, because you are right near the front lines of what's happening in the classrooms. You've got facility issues, scheduling issues, hiring issues, occasionally disciplinary issues. It was a really challenging position, and we had a leadership retreat for our chairs and deans this summer, and I just looked around the room and felt so great about this team of people. So given how hard their job is, given how great they are, could I ask them all to stand and let us show them a little bit of recognition? There's one other point I'd like to make about leadership, and that's I feel like I've never felt better about the people we have in all the major chairs of leadership at the institution. And with respect to empowering women, we have a woman, Debbie Cavalier, running Berklee Online, which is now a $30 million enterprise. It's the largest online music school on the planet. Our Valencia campus is run by Maria Iturriaga, who's an amazing leader. Boston Conservatory, you just heard from the amazing Cathy Young. And Karen Nurnberg is running Berklee summer programs now. So 4 of our major franchises, the executive leadership, are women. The final little news update I want to give you is you've heard a little bit about the Center for Campus Life from Rosemary. This is the result of some discussions with faculty, the faculty union, the chairs, about needing to make accommodations for students who need some extra time for testing or other accommodations. And that's become a challenge for the institution. And we also have issues that go deeper than that, which is how do we receive students who have different learning styles or students who are disabled in our classrooms and do right by them. And we know we have an amazing track record of some of those students becoming really important figures in the music industry and beyond. So we need to do right by them. So we've created the Center for Campus Life, and in my job, people are always bringing me wonderful ideas of things we need to do that cost more money. And one of the hard parts of my job is to hear those things and say, you know, compared to giving another scholarship to a student, I don't think this makes the cut. And those who brought me that proposal know that my first reaction was, oh no, here's another good way to spend more money, and I'm trying to save every dime we have to give more scholarships to students. But I had conversations with several faculty, and in particular with 2 of those department chairs, Alan Chase and George Russell, who in the harmony and ear training departments are 2 of the departments that have the greatest pressure on this accommodation. And everyone I talked to said, we have to do this. This would be a major improvement for the campus. So we have created this Center for Campus Life where we can accommodate those with different needs for testing. We're going to focus more on faculty development so we can all grow and learn how to be as helpful to these students as possible. So I appreciate everyone who persevered and advocated for this, and I think it's going to be a major improvement for the campus. So let me tell you a little bit about this idea of Thrive. We stepped back from all the strategic planning and institutional work we do and said, what are we really trying to accomplish here? And we came up with 3 objectives. One is we want to improve the graduation rate of our students. And we're doing a lot better. 2/3 of the college students graduate and about 3/4 of the conservatory students graduate. And that's way up from where it used to be. It used to be well below 50% at the college. But it's not where it should be. And most of our students, whether they know it or not, are going to need that degree someday. And we'd like for them to graduate with less debt. In the last 5 years, we have lowered the aggregate amount of student debt by 20%, which is really an achievement. I'm very proud of that, but it's still a big number. And again, not to make anyone feel guilty, but somewhere over 20% of our paychecks comes from borrowed money. I'd like for that number to be as low as possible. The second thing we want to do is support students to have a high-quality, engaging experience while they're here, obviously. That's what we're here for. So we want to have stronger advising, we want to have innovative curriculum, we want to make sure that what we're doing in every aspect of the school with respect to the culture and social life is as good as it can possibly be. And then finally, maybe most important, we prepare students for sustainable careers in the art, music, dance, theater that they love. And if we can do those things well, I think we'll be the institution that we want to be and expect ourselves to be. So I would like to show you a short clip, which will be a metaphor for the Thrive program. So 50 years ago was the Apollo 11 mission, where people went to the moon. And it was powered by a Saturn V rocket, which was 363 feet tall. It weighed 65 million pounds when it was fully fueled. The first stage, which you saw, lasted 168 seconds, and the rocket went from 0 to 5,000 miles per hour and traveled 35 miles up into the atmosphere. But it was not out of the atmosphere. It still had 250 miles to go. And in order to get out of the atmosphere, there needed to be a second stage, which you saw, which is a rocket that fired for 360 seconds, and that's what boosted the rocket out of the atmosphere. So you can think of the $70 million of financial aid we give to entering students as the first stage of the Saturn V. And that gets us way up into the atmosphere. But for a lot of students, it's not enough. So part of the Thrive program, and maybe the biggest and certainly the most expensive component, is a scholarship program for conservatory and college students who are in upper semesters, who have generated a 3.0 or greater grade point average, who are in good standing both academically and from a standpoint of conduct. And if they have achieved these things, they have demonstrated financial needs. So this does not apply to more affluent students. If they have demonstrated financial need, they will automatically get a scholarship that meets almost all of that demonstrated need. So we've done a So we did a pilot on the college side last year, and then we've rolled out a fuller version of the program, and we have now invested $3.6 million. Again, it's a relatively small amount relative to the $70 million we spend on the first stage of the Saturn V. 186 students have gotten just under $20,000 each, meeting virtually all of their demonstrated financial need. And the response from those students has been amazing. And let me point out a couple of obvious things about this. You did not have to write recommendation letters for them. They did not have to go through some long application process. They didn't have to discover that the program existed. They just got a letter from us saying, you have done well here, you have demonstrated need, here's your $19,500. Those students who received that grant, again, they were not finished yet. They already, on average, had $35,000 of debt. For most of them, we hope it will mean they can stop borrowing. And you know, I do think $20,000 to $40,000 is not an unreasonable amount of debt for someone, but you know, I'd rather it be zero. But if we can catch them at this point, help them not borrow more, help them stay here, help them be successful, I'm really excited about that. And then, of course, the obvious thing is the $70 million we give is based on a 15-minute audition and a 15-minute interview. We can sometimes be wrong. People can sometimes change and grow and improve. Sometimes people become music business majors or therapy majors or education majors, and the skill set that we look for in the audition is not as obvious. So this is a way of rewarding those students who come here, work their tails off, do what we ask them to do. You tell us that they're doing well. So I'm really excited about the impact this can have on the institution. So I want to share just a few profiles of some of these students with you so you can. Now, this is just 4 of the 186, but let me just take you through who a few of them are. We had them present to the Board of Trustees who are helping us fund this program, and it was just really exciting to hear from them. This is a young woman named Isha Naihoff Asser. She's a songwriting major and a voice principal. She's from Cambridge, Massachusetts. She came to Berklee from a background in semi-classical Indian music, so she was pretty accomplished as a musician, but she had almost no knowledge of Western music theory, and she struggled. She made pretty bad grades, according to her, in her early harmony and ear training courses. And this is what she says: while I agree it is wonderful to support those who are talented off the bat, there are many students who thrive, for lack of a better word, from the Berklee environment itself. In her second year, she made great progress through tutoring, found inspiration in songwriting, and has earned straight A's in her core classes ever since. She lives at home in Cambridge so she can save money. And she said, I was taking on loans each semester to keep studying. Berklee and the Thrive Initiative found a way to support me. This is Sidi Maiga, who's a pro music major. He's from Mali in West Africa. He's been playing with national touring companies, and he performs a fusion of Malian music with Latin blues, Brazilian, house music around New England. Since coming to Berklee in 2016, he's taken advantage of every opportunity we offer: advising, tutoring services, the Learning Center, asking questions, going to office hours. And this is what he said: the scholarship made me breathe a sigh of relief because it will allow me to focus more on my studying at Berklee rather than chasing money to feed my family. Next is Pedro Osuna. Pedro received a Wachter Fellowship, which is a $6,000 grant for students to pursue internships, because many internships in the arts don't pay very well, and a lot of our students who don't have much money can't afford to do internships, which is the major way people find jobs. So it's one of those things that's really biased towards more affluent people who can afford to take a low-paid or unpaid internship. So the Wachter Fellowships and other fellowships like it help compensate for that. Pedro is a composer and pianist from Granada, Spain. He graduated in May with a film scoring degree. He writes music for films. He received the George Delarue Award from the film scoring department. And the Wachter Fellowship allowed him to work on a Netflix show with one of his favorite composers, Berklee alumnus Lucas Vidal. And this is what he said: I learned so much, it completely changed the game for me. After that, things escalated quickly. I got a call from someone on Steven Spielberg's team and job offers in LA, New York, Beijing, and Madrid. Berklee helped me grow, and I feel really lucky to be able to write music that moves people and make a living doing it. And then finally is Cheyenne Arnold, music business management major. She said, my BSI experience, that's the Berklee Summer Institute that Larry mentioned, was very memorable and life-changing. The program allowed me to gain insight on what having a strong and supportive African-American community at a predominantly white institution looks like. BSI helped me find my Berklee family. She has been working with many faculty members, including Danielle Scott, who's now assistant chair of Ensemble Department, industry professionals like Rob Lewis and Ashley Rodriguez, and she participated in the commencement concert honoring Missy Elliott. And likewise, she will be able to stay here, we hope thrive, and do so and graduate with less debt as a result of this program. So you're going to be hearing more about this from us, and I'm going to ask everyone to think, how do you align with this idea of making our number one priority supporting students in their journey, graduating at higher rates, less debt, have a great experience while they're here, find a sustainable career in the arts? So let me wrap up by saying that we're living in an era of apocalyptic thinking, and the most radical and provocative, in some cases depressing or cynical views seem to get more attention than anything else. And I think it can be very paralyzing to live in a world of apocalyptic thinking. Ironically, when you think the world may be coming to an end, it causes you not to do something to fix that, but it makes you frozen, so you don't do much of anything. And I understand that. And I certainly think many of the issues we face, like global warming, the rise of white nationalism, global economic chaos with trade wars and tariffs being imposed, all these things are unsettling and disturbing. But my challenge to you is, rather than be frozen or paralyzed by not knowing what to do about these things, find some small things you can do to make the world a better place. And the most obvious one is we've got 5,000 wonderful, enthusiastic, idealistic young people showing up here on Monday, counting on all of us to create a great institution for them. So try to avoid falling into that trap of apocalyptic thinking, and let's apply ourselves to the task at hand, making this place a little bit better for every one of those students. So welcome back. Hope you had a great summer. We're going to have a great year, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for attending. We wish you a wonderful semester and have a great day. Breakout sessions are starting in 10 minutes. Have a great day.